Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Mystery Sports Podcast. And this weekend, we've got football, we've got F1, we've got some darts, and we've also got golf. There's a lot of things going on, really, in the world of sport. And, we'll keep it simple, really, and we'll go over United. And they're back in action finally, after a week and a bit, nearly 2 weeks of no Man United, no heart attacks for us United fans so far. But, they are back. Um, I've kind of been waiting for this game. I'm wanting this game to happen. And, we've also got probably one of the biggest games in the relegation um, battle as well because, Forest looking to do well, whereas Spurs, they've got a very, very tough trip away at Anfield. And we'll look at the score predictions and what I think will happen in those games there. So if we kick on straight away to United versus Villa, as we can see here, it's battle for third, isn't it, really? You could even say Chelsea and Liverpool are in there. So I'll scroll it down so you guys can see how many points they are on as well. So obviously United are in third, ahead on goal difference, 11 goal difference to Villa's 5, 51 points each. It's good reading for United and it's good reading for Villa. I think Villa would have been like, I'd be happy with this at the start of the season. We're in fourth, joint third, really. A win or a draw at United this weekend would do them wonders. And, I think Villa, they are very good. They did beat us early on in the season at Villa Park, Morgan Rogers' show, as it was, with two fantastic goals. United poor defensively that night. Well, I think it was two individual mistakes really that led to Rodgers having the chance to shoot from that far out. But in terms of Villa, if they were to obviously win, they put some more daylight in front of Chelsea and Liverpool, and daylight obviously of United. They'll go 3 points clear. But in terms of United's perspective and what I think will happen really in this game, I think United will win, being it at Old Trafford. I think it will be another 2-1 win to United. I'm going to go Embuemo and Ahmad to score. I think um, then them both players have a point to prove. I think Bruno will be very key as always. Like, we didn't have Bruno really for a lot of the game last time against Villa at Villa Park in, I think it was Christmas time, wasn't it, where he got injured, Bruno. And you could definitely see the drop off when of United when Bruno went off the pitch. So I think Bruno will be very crucial and will link a lot of the play together this weekend. In terms of United for the league's perspective, you look at that, you get 3 points there. You put 6 points between yourselves and Chelsea and Liverpool, 3 points clear of Villa. It was good reading for United. You're comfortably third then. I'm going to say it again. I think United have got top four Champions League football next year guaranteed. I don't see United losing a lot of the games to what we've got left. I do see us losing a couple, but if the boys can get back onto it again, the first defeat last time against Newcastle, first defeat under Michael Carrick as well. It's not as bad as what everyone kind of made it out to be and what I kind of made it out to be. I think the manner of how we lost against 10 men, where you probably should have turned up better in that second half and you probably should have won the game, really, with Newcastle being down to 10 men. But, I think we can bounce back off this. It's the first defeat in 11, isn't it? In the league. So it's a good reading, isn't it, really, for United? Um, but I think, like I said, I think it's going to be a 2-1 win to United, and I think Villa will give it a tough game. We've got to be careful of Rodgers as always. Watkins, obviously scoring yesterday for Villa to have a 1-0 lead against Lille in the first leg of the Europa League. And they've got good players, haven't they? Tielemans is great. Obviously Rodgers and Watkins. Obviously, Sancho won't be playing because obviously he's on loan to Villa, and you've got McGinn's out as well. So it's a good bonus for United that McGinn is out. But United got to turn up. You can't be going 2-0 down or going down 1-0 and then making it a shift. I think that can't happen for United. We've got to start on the front foot. We've got to get an early goal, and I think that's what United will do, and that's why I'm going to go with a 2-1 win. In terms of lineup, if I show you the lineup here, there you go. So I've gone back to how Michael Carrick started off his United or second tenure at United. So obviously Laman's in net. The only change is I've not put Shaw in. That's a mistake. I don't know. No, Shaw's not fit. Sorry. Yeah. So Laman's obviously in net. Yoro and Maguire. So this is the thing now. I'm not too sure if he actually would go with Yoro. I think he could possibly go with Heaven. I just think he might prefer Yoro just because he's played a few more games, and that's the kind of guy who he's lent onto. Since Martinez is out. Obviously, we know Martinez is out. Mazraoui left back, I think that's got to be happening. Mazraoui should be okay. Maguire, solid as ever. Delo, obviously, our only right back, obviously, with Mazraoui going at left back. Casemiro and Manu have to be that midfield too. And then this is where I've gone back to the start of Michael Carrick's second tenure at United. Cunha, Bruno, Ahmad as the three, and then Mbemo up top. I've obviously got Mbemo and Ahmad to score. I just think they will score. I think they've got a point to prove. Bruno's always going to be key in this game, and the reason why I've not started Chesko is just that because when you look at Villa and how they play, Villa play with quite a high back line, and I think if you were to go with Cunha, Ahmad, and Mbeumo, you've got the pace there to kind of hit him on the break when you need to, and the transitions will be very key because I think Villa defensively aren't as solid as what we know them to be. Because if you look at that Chelsea game, Chelsea just exploited the high line, and if let's say Bruno was to have the ball, um, and the two wingers to go through, I think you have Ahmad. Obviously, he's pace. Cunha's got pace as well. You play them through, and you play Mbeumo as this sort of like offside kind of but fake offside if you call it want to call it that. So basically, Mbeumo was to go through and goal, be in an offside position. However, the defense has to drop slightly, but you give Bruno or Casemiro or Manu the ball, and they play it to the channels out wide, and they're going through and goal, and defense obviously has to drop back, and obviously with Mbeumo being in a fake offside, you know they can square it back to him, and it gives an opportunity for Mbeumo to score. Chesko could easily play that, but I just think if you want to have pace on the attack, I think you've got to go Ahmad on the right and stick Mbeumo back up top. I just think that's what United could look to exploit. Obviously Carrick and the team there obviously will be looking at ways how they can exploit Villa, and hopefully they do see something similar to how I'm seeing it because I think that could work because Villa defensively aren't that good. They've not got that rapid centre half. Konza is very good, but he's no like rapid person at the back. Do you know what I mean? So if United were to play quick and exploit the kind of flanks area, the wide area, should I say, I think United definitely can get some goal there. But like I said, 2-1 to United, and we'll now go on to the other sort of games this week. So it all starts tomorrow at 3 o'clock. You guys see that? So you should be able to. So as you see there is Burnley versus Bournemouth. So I'm going to do my actual predictions as well with you now, so that because I've got a little competition with someone, and this is where I'm going to do it. So Burnley versus Bournemouth. I think Burnley were very unlucky. I think in the last game when it was the 4-3 to Brentford game. I thought Burnley deserved something from that game, but really I can only see one winner, and that is Bournemouth. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win to Bournemouth. I think Burnley look good, but they are down. They're already down, really. Then we go into Sunderland versus Brighton. Sunderland at home, very strong. Obviously, an upset in the FA Cup to Port Vale. But I think Sunderland will bounce back. It's the league. They're at home. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win to Fulham. And then Arsenal versus Everton. This is the half five. Well, the first of two half five kickoffs. I think this game, Arsenal need to win this game. And, if they were to win this game and City do drop points in the evening at West Ham, because that will be a tough game, I think Arsenal title wins there. I think that game wins you the title. But I think Everton will make it difficult, but I just think Arsenal have too much quality on there, and I'm gonna go with a 3-1 win to Arsenal. Then we've got Chelsea Newcastle. This is a game now could decide the top four. Newcastle obviously beating United. They're on a bit of decent form. They had a good result against Barcelona. Will they be tired in the form? They aren't the best in the league. Sorry, they aren't the best of sides, as a lot of people do notice. I think it's going to be a draw. I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw there. I think it'll be a very entertaining game. Then West Ham versus City, the 8 o'clock kickoff tomorrow. But West Ham will make it hard. I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a draw for West Ham or a result for West Ham because City have been quite poor recently. Battered off City. Um, they defensively they're not good enough, so I do think they're going to concede. But I'm going to go with a 3-1 win to City. Um, yeah, 3-1 win to City. And then if we look onto Sunday, so we've got quite a few games on Sunday, don't we? Really. So the first game, Crystal Palace versus Leeds. Crystal Palace obviously a 0-0 yesterday in the Conference League, and I'm gonna go with a 2-1 win to Crystal Palace. I think they're at home. Leeds aren't the best of sides at home, so I'm gonna go 2-1 win to Crystal Palace. Obviously, 2-1 to United, as I said early on in the show. In the show, Forest versus Fulham. Fulham decent run of form. Forest obviously losing to Midtjylland yesterday, 1-0 at home in the first leg. Forest have got they had a great result against City. Will they get another result? They're at home. I'm gonna go with a draw. I'm gonna go 1-1 there. And then this one, Spurs, I'm gonna go 3-0 to Liverpool. I don't see Spurs doing very well at all there. I just think they're down. Especially if Forest were to get a point. I don't think if West Ham could get a point, then Spurs could end up in the relegation zone. I'll show you the table after in a second. Then last game, Brentford versus Wolves. I think there's only one winner there, and that is Brentford. And then I've gone a 2-0 win for Brentford there. But if I show you the league table and the relegation battle, um, we scroll all the way down, and you just this is if you're a Tottenham fan, look away because this isn't what you want. So you have obviously Wolves are gone, but Burnley are gone. If West Ham could get a point, they go a bet. They'd go. Obviously they won't go above them, but they go level on points with Spurs. Nottingham Forest, if they get a point or even 3 points against Fulham, I think they've got the more favourable kind of fixture there to get 3 points. If Forest get 3 points, Spurs are 17th. West Ham could be level on points with them if they were to get a draw. So I don't think that will happen. But I think West Ham not West Ham, Nottingham Forest definitely could get a result, and that's why I went for a draw there. So it's not good reading for Spurs at all. I think they're down. They need to get Igor Tudor out. He's horrendous. He's out of his depth. I feel sorry for the likes of not Jason Cundy, uh, Jamie O'Hara and all those Spurs fan expressions and things like that, because your team's going down and there's nothing they can do about it either. But that is everything for today. We've got F1 as well. Quick, let's go. Who's going to win? I think George Russell's going to win. Mercedes look on form. It's another early start for if you're going to get up for that. Well, it's not as early as the Australian Grand Prix, but it should be good. But yeah, that is everything for today. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share to all your family and friends. And I'll catch you all in a bit.